Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If we haven't met before, I'm Karen and I am a speech language pathologist. So this channel is created by an SLP for other SLPs. Today I wanted to share a lateral lisp tip. So if you are trying to correct a lateralized sh sound and you're feeling frustrated and you aren't really sure what to try next, watch this episode. This one is for you. Okay, I'm gonna start by sharing a story with you. Okay, so the other day in therapy, I'm working with a student and we are working on correcting, just kind of a stubborn lateral lisp, but we had made lots and lots of progress. My student was able to say this sound. So now we were working on trying to say the sh sound. And of course, we're still hearing this lateralized sh production of that sound. And so we're kind of trying to problem solve. My students get a little bit frustrated, I could tell. And so I was like, all right, we need to try something new. So what we'd already covered in therapy, my student really had a great understanding of the basics. We had already talked about normal resting posture, which is where I always start when I'm correcting a lisp. We'd gone over the orofacial basics. My student was able to say this sound. We had a list of that. We'd used, the whisper T and the long T. And so my student really was making great progress. But where we were just kind of at a standstill at was with the sh sound. So, like I said, it was still lateral production of that sound. And so I'm like, okay, so we need to problem solve. So sometimes I always start by, if they understand the sound, I just try and kind of have them trace their tongue tip back, like towards the throat, and see if we can get it that way while they round their lips. But that was really not working for this student. So I'm like, okay, I need to kind of try a different technique. So one technique I read about in an old articulation textbook was shaping the sh sound from E. Okay, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna try that. So first session, I tried this with my student. I'm like, all right, you're gonna, you're gonna hold out the E sound, and I'm trying to talk them through it. Like, you're gonna say E, and then we're gonna tip, bring the tongue tip up, and then I need you to round your lips. And I'm trying to kind of talk my student through all of this, but it wasn't working. We were kind of it was like frustration after frustration. It wasn't working. It was still distorted. So I still felt like this was going to work. This method was going to work. So I'm like, maybe I just need to change how I'm saying things or how I'm showing him things. Because, sometimes when we say things a different way in therapy, I have noticed that it can be the exact same technique, but if you say something just a little bit differently, if you show just a little bit different, of a diagram, or if you model things just a little bit differently, it can make a huge difference. And so I was like, all right, I need to try showing a different way. I'm gonna try and explain things differently. So this time I was like thinking about it. I'm like, okay, whenever I'm working on treating R, I really like to use arm motions or arm movements to show my student how to make the R, especially if I'm doing a bunched R. So I'm like, I'm gonna try that now with this. So my student already understands and the tongue placement. He gets where home is, so that's great. So now we're trying to get that correct placement for the sh sound and the lip rounding and all of that. So I started by saying, okay, we're gonna pretend like my arm is the tongue, and you're gonna make the E sound. And when I curl my hand up, then you're gonna curl the front part of your tongue up, and then you're gonna go into the sh sound. So we started like that, and it was good. It wasn't quite right, but it was like this. So he was like, E sh. So we started doing that. But what was happening is he was not keeping the airflow going. So it was kind of like he'd like E and just kind of stop. So I just was like, okay, so we need to keep the airflow going. So now I was trying to think and rack my brain on how I can, get that airflow to keep going straight. And of course, since it's a lateralized production, we want the airflow to keep going straight. So I decided that I needed to add in another arm movement to show the airflow going forward. And this is when it clicked for my students. It was really exciting. So I'm like, okay, so we're gonna prolong the E this time. And when I move my hand up, you're gonna, go into the sh sound. But what I want you to do this time is keep the airflow going until I get all the way out here and stop. So this time what we did is we went like this. So we were doing, I had my hand out and like, E, sh, and I made him hold out and keep that, pushing that airflow and keep it going straight until I had my hand and I had it all the way out, extended, and I had stopped. And so we practiced that just a couple of times where we were like, starting like this, we're like, E, sh, and just that visual of me pushing, like pretending to push the airstream forward at him is what made it click. So we kept going with that and I was able to get beautiful sound productions that were not lateralized. They were straight because just that forward motion just kind of was that extra visual for him. And also a lot of times I've noticed that our students tend to kind of just stop the airflow. And I've noticed that too when I'm working on the long T. So just having this visual of the hand just coming out and hey, I've got to keep the airflow going, I've got to keep the airflow going, or the airstream going forward and straight until the hand stopped. That is just such a powerful visual for our students, but it's simple and it's easy. So if you're having trouble, if you're still trying to work on producing a lateralized sh sound, just try this in therapy. I know with every student, sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, but I'm having really, really great success with it. So I hope that you do too. I hope that you found this to be a useful tip, something that you can try in therapy. So yeah, try that old artic tip, but just try adding in the arm movements and see if that helps you and if you can get the production that you are going for. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched until the very end. I really appreciate it. And yeah, make sure that you like this video and subscribe because I have more speech therapy content headed your way. I'll talk to you next time. Bye guys.